Tonight on ABC News Live Prime, dangerous heat for more than 150 million people across the country. Excessive heat warnings across the Midwest, heading for Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and all the way up to Maine. Critical fire alerts across multiple states, more than 93,000 acres destroyed out west.
I'm Faith Abube in Chicago, where firefighters are turning out in full gear, battling flames and the brutal heat at the same time.
Dramatic rescues and a search for survivors in Venezuela. A 21-year-old man pulled from the rubble, trapped for 5 days after back-to-back earthquakes.
That's it. That's an aftershock. Ooh, just had an aftershock.
3 major Supreme Court rulings, what they say about President Trump's power over independent agencies, and a critical ruling about mail-in ballots that could impact the midterms, plus the landmark decision expected tomorrow whether or not trans athletes can participate in girls' sports. We sit down with the teen at the center of it all and the Attorney General looking to stop her from playing with the girls.
Why not just play with the boys' team?
Because it would go against who I am.
If boys are allowed to play in girls' sports, what we know is they will take the place of biological females on these teams.
The scare at New York's JFK Airport, a JetBlue flight out of Las Vegas hits a drone while landing. And in an ABC News exclusive, Michael Strahan's interview with former NFL star Chris Johnson, one of the fastest running backs in NFL history, reveals his private health battle and life-changing diagnosis.
It's shocking. It's hard to process it. How do you process it?
How he maintains hope and what keeps him going.
From ABC News, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We begin with the extreme heat threatening much of the country for the next several days. More than 150 million Americans are under heat alerts, with sweltering temperatures stretching from Kansas to Maine. The Midwest will feel the impact of triple-digit temperatures first, made all the more severe by high humidity and nighttime temps barely dipping below 80 degrees. In Chicago, firefighters are battling brutal heat and flames at the same time. Gusty winds are driving nearly 40 large wildfires across 9 western states. And in Colorado, 3 firefighters were killed battling the Snyder fire when their emergency fire shelter was overtaken by flames. Already, the Cottonwood fire has destroyed 93,000 acres on the Colorado-Utah border. Here's Faith Abube with the latest.
Tonight, a dangerous dome of extreme heat is spreading from the Midwest to the East Coast, threatening to break all-time records.
This is the time to check in on our neighbors.
102-degree heat index in the Chicago suburbs today. Firefighters sweltering in full gear while tackling a fire in Inglewood. Minneapolis feeling like 103 degrees today, and Kansas City 105 degrees. The extreme heat fueling extreme storms. Straight line winds over 100 miles an hour, taking out these massive wind turbines in Highmore, South Dakota. Heat warnings also up in Tennessee and Kentucky, where they are still cleaning up from devastating floods that killed at least 5 people.
The force of the rushing floodwaters was so powerful that it hurled debris like this onto many roadways, and even a small creek like this one swelled enough to peel the asphalt off this bridge.
In the West, where nearly 40 large wildfires are burning in 9 states, firefighters taking time to honor the fallen after the Snyder fire that forced more than 100 campers and rafters to evacuate a stretch of the Colorado River took the lives of 38-year-old firefighter Emily Barker, 27-year-old Nick Hutcherson, and 27-year-old Sydney Watson. Authorities say they were trapped, and despite deploying emergency shelters, they could not survive the fast-moving flames.
And just so horrible to hear. Faith joins us now. Faith, what's the latest on conditions there in Chicago?
Well, Lindsay, you can see behind me people here in the Chicago area doing everything they can to beat the heat. Local officials are sounding the alarm about the brutally hot temperatures. They're setting up cooling shelters and also using robocalls to alert some 31,000 vulnerable seniors to take precautions. Lindsay.
Faith Abube for us. Faith, thank you. Let's turn now to ABC senior meteorologist Lee Goldberg with the forecast. Lee, it sounds like we haven't seen anything yet in the heat department.
Oh, my goodness, Lindsay. This is moving from the Midwest to the East Coast. And what a week. All the celebrations happening and gearing up for this weekend. And we have this extreme heat that's peaking over the Midwest here as we go through the next 24 to 36 hours. Extreme heat warnings, Des Moines to Green Bay. Chicago's going to feel like triple digits and above tomorrow. And then you see the extreme heat watches because that heat's going to get to the East Coast as we go through the day on Wednesday. Still for Tuesday afternoon, it feels like 105 in Chicago, 108 in Paducah, Pittsburgh starting to get on some of that heat. But by the time we get into Wednesday, that's when it kicks in along the I-95 corridor. New York probably going to 100 degrees for the first time since 2012 and feeling like 105 to even 110. The peak of the heat is likely Thursday and Friday. The problem is less extreme heat as we go through the 4th, and it's still going to be in the mid-90s, may mean we're more vulnerable to thunderstorms on the I-95 corridor on July 4th. We'll keep you posted. The fire conditions, which have gotten a little bit better during the first part of the week, will actually deteriorate a little bit as we go into Tuesday. Lindsay?
All right, we know you'll be monitoring it all for us. L to the G, thanks so much. Tens of thousands are still unaccounted for in Venezuela, many trapped beneath the rubble. Video coming in today shows a 21-year-old man pulled alive from the debris after spending 5 days trapped following back-to-back quakes. The massive rescue efforts continue there, but aftershocks are slowing down the search. ABC's chief international correspondent James Longman reports in from Venezuela tonight.
They're still finding miracles in Venezuela tonight, 5 days after huge twin earthquakes ripped through the country.
Just arrived in La Guaira, and this gives you an idea of the level of destruction. Just about every building along the seafront looks like this.
Somehow, through all this, some have survived. This 21-year-old man was saved after being buried for 106 hours. Tonight, he called his rescuers angels. And crews pulled out an 11-year-old boy, and another boy was saved with his father. And a 9-month-old baby was rescued with her mother by a crew from Fairfax County, Virginia.
Tell her to tuck her feet back in.
Ready to doblar las rodillas?
That team worked through translators for 10 hours to get her out from under what was an 8-story building. This man says his sister is still trapped. His family recorded a phone call with her. But for so many, hope is fading.
She was in the kitchen.
Domingo was on FaceTime with his sister and her 9-year-old son when the quake hit. He knows they did not make it.
Can you tell me how you're feeling right now?
I cannot describe this. Because now I am the only son. I have a living without a mother, without a father, without his brother.
I'm so sorry.
More than 1,700 are now confirmed dead, and the danger of aftershocks is still real tonight. We felt one just as we were getting ready to go live.
Oh, that's an aftershock. That's sent a lot of panic. Take a look down here. People are running away from the buildings because that is the level of terror.
There have been more than 600 aftershocks since those massive quakes.
Lindsay, the level of devastation here in La Guaira, the inaccessibility, the slow government response means that for many people living here, they're only just seeing a rescue effort days after those earthquakes struck. And tonight, tens of thousands of people are still missing. Lindsay.
Just a heartbreaking scenario there, James. Thank you. Joining us now from Caracas is Manuel Rodriguez Pumarol, UNICEF's representative there in Venezuela. Manuel, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Based on the conditions on the ground right now, what's the scale of a humanitarian crisis in Venezuela?
Hello, Lindsay. Thanks so much for having me. And first of all, our thoughts are with the children and families who have lost their loved ones' homes, but also the sense of safety throughout the last few days. This is a very serious and evolving emergency. The full scale of damage is still under assessment. However, what is already clear is that children are among the most affected in this emergency. Our estimations are that approximately 680,000 children could be on their needs or on their humanitarian needs across the 6 states that have been affected by the earthquake.
These earthquakes come on top of an economic crisis and ongoing political turmoil, of course. How has that affected your response there on the ground?
As UNICEF, we are on the ground since day one. We have activated an upscale emergency response. We are deploying a staff we are mobilizing supplies, but also we are working with the national authorities, the UN system, and all the humanitarian partners to carry out a multi-sectorial response covering the most pressing needs of children. Among them, we are working specifically on emergency health and nutritional support, child support, water and sanitation, but also psychosocial support for those children that have been affected by the earthquake. In fact, just 2 days ago, we got our first earth shipment with medical or water supply. It was 22 metric tons of supplies, and later this evening we're gonna bring another 48 metric tons of water and also medical supplies for the response. So that's why we are calling the international community to continue supporting children here in Venezuela. For that, please join unicef.org/actnowvenezuela.
Is that the best way for people who are watching right now to help? Manuel, I'm not sure if you can hear me. What's the best way for people who are watching right now to help?
Yes, you can access our website, unicef.org/actnowvenezuela. Through that, you can support the children in Venezuela.
Manuel Rodriguez Pumaro with UNICEF, we thank you so much for the work that you're doing and for your time tonight. Back here in the U.S., the Supreme Court issued rulings today on 3 major cases. The justices cemented President Trump's power over independent agencies, laying out who he can and cannot fire. And the court also issued a critical ruling on mail-in ballots that could impact the midterms. Mary Bruce reports from the White House.
Tonight, the Supreme Court dealing a blow to President Trump's sweeping effort to restrict mail-in voting. The justices upholding a Mississippi law that says ballots postmarked by Election Day but received up to 5 days later would still be counted. Justice Amy Coney Barrett writing, nothing in the federal Election Day statutes requires ballots to be received by Election Day. The electorate's choice is made when voting is complete, not when ballots are received.
I think it was very detrimental to honest elections, but it is what it is.
The president is pressuring the Senate to pass his Save America Act, which greatly restricts mail-in voting. He says until that happens, he won't sign a major housing bill backed by Republicans and Democrats.
What are your plans for the housing bill, Mr. President?
I don't know. I think it's so unimportant by compared to the Save America Act.
The president calling the housing bill, which would help millions of Americans afford housing, a quote, yawn.
It's a yawn. Some people say it's wonderful. To me, compared to the Save America Act, just about everything is a big yawn.
The High Court did hand Trump one big win today, expanding presidential power, allowing him to fire officials from independent bipartisan regulatory agencies for any reason. Chief Justice John Roberts writing the president may remove his subordinates at will.
It gives a president the right to do what the president should have the right to do.
But the justices carve out one exception, the Federal Reserve, blocking President Trump for now from firing Fed Governor Lisa Cook, citing our nation's tradition of central banking protected from political interference.
Mary joins us now from the White House. And Mary, the court dealt the president another blow today. What's the latest in the E. Jean Carroll saga?
Linsey, the justices let a jury's $5 million judgment in favor of writer E. Jean Carroll stand. The jury found Trump sexually abused Carroll in the mid-'90s and later defamed her. The president had asked the justices to review the case, but they refused. And so now, Linsey, the president will have to pay Carroll that $5 million. Linsey.
It's been a long time for her waiting for that payment. Mary Bruce from the White House. Thanks so much, Mary.
Thank you.
And for more now, we're joined by ABC News legal contributor James Sample. So, James, break down today's decision on these mail-in ballots. This was obviously a case that was brought by Republicans. Why would they have wanted stricter federal rules here?
Really interesting question, really good question. And I think the candid answer is that this was strategic on their part. Since 2020, mail-in ballots have tended to lean Democratic. That is a change from the historical norms, and it's a change that's driven largely by Donald Trump persuading his supporters not to engage in mail-in balloting. And so we've become familiar with the so-called blue shift. As the mail-in ballots are counted, the votes have tended to tilt more and more Democratic. To be clear, he has been trying to end mail-in balloting state by state. But if this ruling had gone the other way, he would have succeeded in knocking out after arriving ballots on a nationwide basis, and he did come within one vote of achieving that goal.
In his dissent, Justice Alito wrote in part, today's decision creates a serious risk of further undermining public confidence in our elections and our system of self-government. But what do you make of that?
Well, reasonable people can and do disagree on whether or not mail-in balloting is the right policy, and Justice Alito is certainly entitled to that view, but it is, to be clear, a policy view that he's articulating. And the majority's response to that statement on Justice Alito's part is Congress didn't write that rule. If Congress wanted to express a concern, Congress could have addressed this, and states could address this by having a policy that is one that you would favor. But we, the majority, are not going to invent a rule that Congress didn't write.
And so also we heard today that from the Supreme Court that the president does not have the ability to fire someone like Lisa Cook, obviously Fed governor. The Fed itself, what do we expect will happen here? Is this case far from over?
The case is far from over, and it is extraordinary in the sense that the court went out of its way, Lindsay, to treat the Federal Reserve as unique, as different from all of the other independent agencies where the court did strike down precedent and uphold the president's power to fire independent agency commissioners. So they're treating the Fed differently. However, they're only really remanding this case for further process, saying that Lisa Cook could still be fired for cause. That's always been a possibility for any independent commissioner. Neglect, malfeasance, those types of for-cause firings have always been allowed. The question today was whether she could be fired without cause. The court said no.
So it seems like there's still at least 3 outstanding cases that we will hear rulings on from the Supreme Court tomorrow. Tell us about those.
The court has indeed made it clear that this is the end of the waiting period. Tomorrow will be the last day of the term. Birthright citizenship, transgender athletes, and a major campaign finance reform case.
All right, James, we will be likely giving you a call to break down what we learned tomorrow. Thank you so much. And a little later in our show, Devin Dwyer interviews the trans athlete at the center of tomorrow's expected Supreme Court decision as she fights for the right to play on the girls' team. Legendary civil rights icon Ambassador Andrew Young, who marched alongside the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is speaking out against the Supreme Court. The ambassador, who became the first African-American to represent Georgia in Congress in the 70s, was appointed to serve as the first Black UN ambassador by then President Jimmy Carter. We had a chance to sit down with him ahead of America's upcoming 250th birthday to talk about the state of the country. When you think about this nation celebrating its 250th anniversary, how do you reflect on this moment? How is the state of our union?
Now?
Yes.
We're in worse shape than we've ever been in my lifetime in some ways.
In nearly 100 years, you think that this is the worst?
Yeah.
But somebody who grew up in the segregated South, who knew Bloody Sunday personally, who knew the dogs that were sicked on Black people and the hoses, you think that today, 2026, is the worst this country has ever been?
I think my biggest disappointment in this time in my life is that we can't count on the Supreme Court for anything. The country hasn't gone to the dogs. It just seems like too many people with doggish mentality got into positions of power. I'm still very positive and optimistic about the country.
Be sure to join us for Disney Celebrates America starting this Friday, July 3rd, for 24 hours of unparalleled programming featuring coverage across all 50 states. You can watch it on ABC News or any of our streaming platforms, including Disney Plus and Hulu. A judge has set Luigi Mangione's federal trial for January of next year after a hearing today. The judge said that she wanted the trial to begin in the fall, but his state trial scheduled for September makes that impossible. Prospective jurors are expected to begin being questioned in December. Mangione sat silently during the hearing, only chatting briefly with his attorneys. Tonight, disturbing new details about an alligator attack not far from Orlando. A woman killed while her boyfriend desperately tried to save her. This deadly encounter on the heels of a crocodile attack in Mexico at a popular tourist spot. Here's Victor Oquendo.
Tonight, horror at a river north of Orlando, Florida.
Somebody got bit by a gator.
A woman swimming with friends attacked by a large alligator. Her boyfriend desperately trying to pry her from its mouth. Officials say the 31-year-old woman from Orlando was swimming in about 3 feet of water on Sunday.
She was bitten on both of her arms.
The woman dying on the way to the hospital. It's the third alligator attack in Central Florida in the last week. A child fishing at a resort was bitten on his hand, and a snorkeler was mauled at a state park. And in Mexico, authorities say this massive crocodile dragged 28-year-old Irving Mauricio into the sea near the Marriott Puerto Vallarta resort on Friday.
You could see the crocodile around his thigh, and when he would turn, you could see how massive the crocodile was.
Authorities capturing the crocodile. The man was later found dead. In a statement tonight, Marriott saying in part, "We have appropriate signage as well as night patrolling and red flags to indicate caution in the area," adding, "We extend our thoughts to the individual and their loved ones during this difficult time." Lindsay, back here in Florida, officials say they've caught 2 alligators in the area where that woman was attacked. Alligator attacks are rare, but there is always a risk in any body of water in Florida. Lindsay?
Victor, thank you. Now to a scare at New York JFK Airport. A JetBlue plane hit a drone some 3,000 feet in the air right before landing. This comes just days after a drone scare involving a United pilot at another airport. Here's our Gio Benitez with that story.
As millions of Americans crisscross the U.S. for the 4th of July holiday, tonight a troubling incident in the skies involving a drone and a passenger jet.
We collided with a drone back there in the turn.
You said you collided?
Yep, it hit us right above the cockpit.
Around 7:15 a.m., pilots of a JetBlue flight full of passengers from Las Vegas coming in for a landing at New York's JFK Airport believed they hit a drone at nearly 3,000 feet.
If we don't need any assistance, we're just going to go ahead and land.
And just moments ago, a second incident at JFK, a helicopter pilot reported nearly colliding with a gigantic remote-controlled plane.
Almost ran into a gigantic RC airplane right over there.
Can you describe it?
One of the remote-controlled airplanes, a big one at 500 feet.
Just days ago on Friday, a dramatic and dangerous close call as a United pilot says they came within 100 feet of a drone while on descent at Newark.
We almost hit a drone right there about 100 feet below us.
Both planes landing safely, the FAA is now investigating. The alarming incidents come as many are set to travel this holiday, a terrifying incident playing out on a busy Miami runway.
For Quebec Sierra, you just crossed an active runway. Hold short of 8 runway 8 left.
You just told me to cross the runway, sir.
No, we set Amerijet 461.
An American Airlines jet barreling down the runway at about 60 miles per hour, aborting takeoff after a business jet entered the runway without authorization, putting the two on a possible collision course. And Lindsay, a reminder here, you cannot fly a drone near an airport. It is incredibly dangerous, and that is why the FAA is now investigating. And of course, this plane did land safely, thank goodness. They did not find any damage on it, but that FAA investigation is going to be really critical, Lindsay.
We can imagine that. All right, Gio, thank you. And a heads up for anyone traveling to the Washington, D.C. area. Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport will temporarily close on the 4th of July for America's 250th celebrations, including flyovers and fireworks. No flights are scheduled to arrive or depart between noon and 11:59 p.m. on the 4th. Airlines and the FAA worked months in advance to adjust flight schedules in order to avoid disruptions. Comcast is sending shock waves with a new split. The company is planning to spin off NBC Universal and Sky, a European media company, from its more profitable cable and internet business. Earlier this year, the media giant officially spun off NBC Universal's cable networks into a separately traded business. This new split will end Comcast's 15-year venture into film and television. Shares of Comcast stock jumped after the announcement. Jennifer Hudson, Dionne Warwick, Kenny G, just a few of the stars who paid tribute to music executive Clive Davis at his funeral today. The service was closed to the public but live streamed from Central Synagogue in Manhattan. Both Bruce Springsteen and Alicia Keys delivered emotional eulogies while talking about the impact Davis had on their lives.
You saw something in me that
I was only just beginning to see in myself. And that's a gift I'll never fully be able to repay, only honor.
Clive showed a 22-year-old nobody the same warmth, the same kindness, the same respect that he would show me after all my success for the next 50 years. Nothing ever changed.
Davis passed away in his home last week at 94 years old. Former NBA players Malik Beasley and Edward Davis were among 6 people charged in an alleged sports gambling scheme. Authorities accuse Beasley of manipulating his performance in games and say that his co-defendants used the information to place bets. Aaron Katersky has the latest.
Tonight, former NBA player Malik Beasley is facing federal charges accusing him of tailoring how well he played so sports gamblers could win hundreds of thousands of dollars. Prosecutors say Beasley, who made $60 million during his NBA career, accumulated multi-million-dollar gambling losses, and to pay off what he owed former teammate Ed Davis, agreed to underperform and at times overperform. In this 2024 game between the Milwaukee Bucks and LA Clippers, the indictment says Beasley promised to grab more rebounds than the sportsbooks predicted, soaring in the final seconds to get it done.
And Beasley's going to hold on to this one.
His co-defendants collecting thousands of dollars from their alleged insider bets.
Davis, yes.
The indictment quoted text messages allegedly between Beasley and Davis, who is also facing charges. Only way you can beat Vegas is sports betting. Everything else, they got the edge, Davis wrote. And Beasley responded, well, yeah. This case is the latest, Linsey, in a broad crackdown on illegal sports betting and the athletes who allegedly participate. Tonight, Beasley's attorney tells us his client maintains his innocence and is expected to surrender later this week. Linsey?
Our thanks to Aaron. Coming up, why millions of Americans have lost their health insurance in the last year and how the government is responding. Plus, authorities are securing a perimeter after dozens of inmates overpowered their guards and seized control of a North Carolina jail. And it's closing time for Hulu's critically acclaimed series, The Bear. The 5th and final season takes place over one consequential day. And tonight its stars are sharing what viewers can expect in our latest edition of All Access. Take a look. When you first read the scripts, were you thinking, how will we sustain an entire season with one night?
I mean, yeah, I think it's like you asked that a little bit, but it's like that's a good sign because it means that, you know, that means that there's questions, that there's juice there, and that there's things to answer and try to work toward.
And I think it's also like really nice to have that kind of like, there's like a gift of like real continuity, like emotional and otherwise, when you're like, oh, this is almost in real time that all this stuff is happening.
Don't miss our latest All Access featuring the cast of The Bear right here on ABC News Live, streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. Welcome back, everyone. A new report from the Department of Health and Human Services reveals a significant drop in people enrolled in Affordable Care Act health insurance plans compared to last year. In the report, HHS touted the Trump administration's efforts to crack down on fraudulent or phantom enrollment. But the data also comes amid rising insurance plan costs and the expiration of enhanced premium tax credits that were at the center of the government shutdown late last year. Let's take a look at the state of enrollment by the numbers. The report said 19.2 million people were enrolled in Affordable Care Act insurance plans in February. That's about 3 million fewer enrollees compared to the same time a year earlier, a decline of 13%. In the report, HHS said that efforts to stop fraudulent or improper enrollment had prevented 2.9 million people from receiving subsidies they did not qualify for. But health experts have also pointed to rising health care costs. Last month, KFF estimated that Affordable Care Act marketplace deductibles increased by a record 37% in 2026, and premium payments had risen by an average of 58%. Wakely Consulting Group estimated more than 1 in 10 enrollees did not pay their premiums in January, with many also moving to cheaper or lower tier plans. KFF also estimated that marketplace enrollment could decline by 21.5% this year based on analysis of Wakely Consulting Group estimates and federal data. Still ahead, the World Cup is in the knockout stage. Find out which teams are moving on. And it's last call for the iconic Schlitz beer, how customers can get in one last drink before it's gone for good. Welcome back to Prime. Here's a look at the stories making headlines right now. From the Midwest to the East Coast, extreme heat is expected to shatter records this week. This is parts of Kentucky and Tennessee are still cleaning up from deadly floods, and in the West, Multiple wildfires are spreading in Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico. President Trump confirmed U.S. talks with Iran are set to take place in Qatar tomorrow, despite an Iranian spokesperson saying no meetings with the U.S. have been scheduled. The president says his negotiating team will discuss Iran's nuclear program and access through the Strait of Hormuz. In Bertie County, North Carolina, inmates overpowered guards and seized control of a local jail. Just 3 guards were on duty to oversee some 88 inmates. After hours of negotiating, law enforcement officers were able to once again regain control of the facility and establish a secure perimeter. The State Bureau and FBI said in a statement that all inmates and staff are accounted for, and those who sustained injuries have received treatment. And in World Cup news, the knockout stage has begun in a massive upset. Underdog Paraguay eliminated 4-time World Cup winner Germany in a nail-biting match. The battle stretched into extra time and a penalty shootout after a German goal was controversially disallowed. Host Canada was the first to secure their spot in the final 16 after defeating South Africa Sunday. The first time our neighbors to the north have advanced to this stage in history. 5-time World Cup winner Brazil triumphed over Japan 2-1 today. And there's still one more game tonight, Morocco versus the Netherlands at 9 p.m. Eastern. Coming up, a shocking ALS diagnosis for one of the fastest running backs in NFL history. Football star Chris Johnson on his push for more experimental treatments and why he's sharing his story now. Welcome back now to an exclusive interview with former NFL star Chris Johnson. The 3-time Pro Bowler had more than 11,000 total offensive yards in his career and still holds the record for most yards from a scrimmage in a season. But now he's in the fight of his life off the field. ABC's Michael Strahan had a chance to sit down with him.
Johnson, touchdown!
Chris Johnson, one of the fastest running backs in NFL history, shattered records throughout his career.
80-yard run.
So fast, he earned the nickname CJ2K.
Chris Johnson is going to have a Titans touchdown.
He retired in 2017 and has been out of the spotlight. But today, he is sharing something deeply personal.
You've chosen to share some personal news today, and it takes a tremendous amount of courage to share it. What would you like for people to know?
First, I want people to know that I'm still me. ALS has changed what my body can do, but it hasn't changed who I am.
In 2025, at the age of 39, Johnson was diagnosed with ALS, the disease progressing so rapidly that he now uses his eyes to trigger a speech-generating device to speak.
Why do you want to share this now?
Because if sharing my story helps even one person get diagnosed sooner, inspires more research, or gives another family hope, then it's worth it.
Johnson says he was in the prime of his life, working out daily and running errands with his 4 children until ALS changed everything.
Let's go back to last year. When did you notice that something was off?
I first noticed weakness in my right hand. At first, it was little things like my grip didn't feel right, and I wasn't as strong as I've always been.
His wife, Brittany, thought it was something much simpler.
Brittany, what did you think it was at the time?
I thought because of football and, his career that it had to be something with that, maybe a pinched nerve or something along those lines, but never ALS.
And what did doctors tell you initially about your condition?
We hoped it was something else, but after thorough testing, they finally came down with a diagnosis of ALS. They told us about a medication that might extend life by a few months. Then they told us to get our affairs in order. It was hard hearing that, but after watching Good Morning America and seeing Dr. Merritt with Eric Dane, we reached out to her. She was willing to think more creatively, offering experimental treatments that might help and advance research.
Dr. Merritt Sikovich is a neurologist and leading ALS researcher at Mass General Brigham Neuroscience Institute.
Chris has been on standard of care, which is about 3 different medications that slow down the illness, but he was also part of a clinical trial, a therapy that decreases inflammation, and I think that helped him a lot.
With no family history of ALS, doctors believe his is a case of sporadic ALS, the most common form of the disease, affecting about 90% of patients, occurring randomly in people with no known family history of ALS.
That's one of the reasons this disease can be so shocking. It can happen to someone who never expected it.
And for me, it's shocking. It's hard to process it for me because I know you, Chris, from just the incredible athlete that you are. How do you process it?
Honestly, I don't know if you ever fully process it. At first you're in shock, then you realize you have two choices. You can give up or you can fight. I chose to fight.
And then Brittany, what was it like for you when you found out that Chris had ALS?
All I could think about was our kids and how young they are. Just, you're in denial. You want it to be anything else. You want the doctors to be wrong. The life that we previously had is like now a thing of the past. But we're still hopeful. We're hopeful, you know, that a breakthrough will happen and that, or, you know, God, a miracle will happen, you know.
And what kind of support has helped you the most through this?
Without a doubt, my wife, Brittany. She hasn't left my side through any of this. My kids are also a huge part of why I keep going. Every day I wake up wanting more time with them, to make more memories, and just be their dad. They give me a reason to keep fighting.
Love it. I know, Brittany, the unsung heroes are the caregivers. So what has this been like for you?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Like, we have good days, we have bad days, you know. Our life has shifted so much and it's a heavy workload, but I have no doubt that this is what, you know, I was called to do.
So how has it progressed since you've been diagnosed?
It's continued to progress much faster than I ever imagined. I want people to understand just how quickly ALS can attack your body. Just over a year ago, I was picking up my 7-year-old daughter, so she make a wish with her birthday cake. Today, I couldn't do that.
And what do you hope people, or you wish people understood about living with ALS?
That your mind stays sharp. People sometimes look at the physical disability and assume you're not still the same person inside. I still think the same, I still dream, I still love my family. My body just doesn't cooperate.
What are the doctors telling you about the treatment and the progression?
Having doctors who are willing to collaborate and explore every reasonable option has meant a lot to my family and me. Right now there isn't a cure, but we're seeing more research, more clinical trials, and more promising ideas than ever before. Seeing how hard these doctors and researchers are working gives me hope. As long as they're fighting for people with ALS, I'm going to keep fighting too.
Holding on to hope. Our thanks to Michael for that conversation. Coming up, the trans athlete at the center of tomorrow's expected Supreme Court decision, fighting for the right to play on the girls' team. And on a lighter note, a bride and groom at Chicago received the ultimate wedding gift from a very unexpected wedding crasher. A shaky start for the defending champ and a wow moment at Wimbledon. A big day for the Big Bear Eaglets and a surprise wedding crash for one couple saying I do. These stories and much more in tonight's rundown. A shaky start for defending champ Jannik Sinner as Wimbledon kicked off. He regained composure after a worrisome tumble on the grass in a 5-set victory. Naomi Osaka also made headlines today as she wowed the London crowd wearing an all-white kimono inspired by Lucy Liu's character in Kill Bill. But all eyes were on 44-year-old Serena Williams, who's set to play her first professional singles match tomorrow in nearly 4 years.
When did you settle in with yourself and say, you know what, this feels right?
I'm not even sure if I'm there yet, to be honest, because it feels weird.
She faces an opponent less than half her age. Last call for Schlitz beer. The iconic Milwaukee brew had ceased production a few weeks ago, but a brief revival is letting fans get one last sip.
We have permission to do a brew from the area that we felt was nearing Schlitz prime.
Wisconsin Brewing Company says the final brew has captured the attention of people in Wisconsin and across the country as they brewed tens of thousands of cans, but fans shouldn't wait too long. The last time to get the old-time beer will be on July 4th at the Old World, Wisconsin.
I believe music can change the world.
The king of pop is becoming the king of the box office. Michael, the movie about Michael Jackson's life, has officially overtaken Oppenheimer as the highest-grossing biopic in movie history, making more than $977 million worldwide. It's a big day for the beloved Big Bear eaglets in Southern California. Luna took a leap of faith today and gracefully flew over to a tree where Dad was waiting for him. It comes after the other eaglet, Sandy, fell out of her nest yesterday. Friends of Big Bear Valley, the nonprofit that operates the live camera, says Sandy fell to some branches below. She appeared to be startled by her brother as he attempted to jump over her. The 26th annual BET Awards played out to a packed crowd at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. And among the biggest awards of the night, Clips winning Album of the Year and Cardi B winning Best Female Hip Hop Artist of the Year. But the high point of the night was arguably Queen Latifah paying tribute to this year's inaugural Living Legend Award, Lauryn Hill. Newlyweds in Chicago were surprised with the ultimate gift when Grammy-winning singer Ed Sheeran and DJ Martin Garrix crashed their wedding. Garrix received a direct message on social media from the bride's brother asking if he would crash his sister's wedding. The music duo said yes.
I can't believe they both came. It was unbelievable.
The participation of transgender athletes and girls in women's sports divided the country even before President Trump tried to ban them from competition by executive order, and more than half the states did the same by passing laws. Now the Supreme Court is expected to decide tomorrow whether those efforts are unlawful and unconstitutional. The case before the court involves a West Virginia teenager determined to play with the girls. Here's our senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer with her story.
With each throw of the discus, Becky Pepper Jackson strives for perfection.
I put time in over the summer and after practices, just trying to improve my technique and get better.
The high school sophomore from Bridgeport, West Virginia, was born into a family of runners. Consistently at the back of the pack, a coach instead pushed her to learn to throw.
My times were too slow and she didn't want me to not make the team. So she introduced me to shot put and discus, and that's when I just fell in love with it.
Becky's throws earned her a spot in the state championship last season, the first time the only known openly transgender athlete in West Virginia in any sport took a top prize.
Your teammates don't see a difference in your performance or your presence.
No, most of them are really kind. They support me all the way. It's just like being any other person on the sports team.
She may be embraced by some teammates, but she's been protested by other athletes and targeted by state lawmakers, who in 2021 passed a law banning Becky and other transgender girls from girls' sports. Becky and her parents sued the state, and a federal appeals court blocked the law as discrimination on the basis of sex under Title IX. The landmark civil rights law meant to guarantee equal opportunities for women and girls in education and school sports.
Why did you guys bring this lawsuit?
As a parent, I wanted her to do what she wanted to do, and I wanted her to be happy and be with her friends, but I also knew the importance of sports for a lifelong foundation.
Becky, who is openly identified as a girl since third grade, is among the estimated 122,000 transgender American teens who participate in high school sports. That's just over 1% of the more than 8 million teenage student athletes nationwide.
If boys are allowed to play in girls' sports, what we know is they will take the place of biological females on these teams and take away their opportunities to be successful later in life.
West Virginia Attorney General John McCuskey says he harbors no animus toward Becky, but that banning trans athletes from girls' sports is essential for safety and fairness.
Becky is bigger and stronger and faster than the females that she's competing against.
The American College of Sports Medicine says studies have shown testosterone produced during male puberty does lead to more muscle mass, larger hearts and lungs, greater body height, and longer limbs for boys and men. But before puberty, research shows sex differences in athletic performance are minimal. Becky says she's never undergone male puberty thanks to puberty-blocking medication and has no physiological advantage over her peers.
She has testosterone from her adrenal glands, just like every female out there. That's the only testosterone she has. She's actually not the biggest person on her team. There's people taller than her. There's people shorter than her. She's just an average female teenager.
Sports should be kept
girls play against girls and guys play against guys. That's just
Sabrina Shriver competed against Becky and says she was made uncomfortable in the locker room and on the field. And in 2024 joined 4 other teammates in a silent protest during an 8th grade track meet. The group spoke out in defense of a ban.
This is not right in a situation that is eventually going to kill women's sports forever.
What made you uncomfortable?
I just didn't think it was right. So it was just, I don't know, we kind of all just felt uncomfortable and we didn't want any part of it.
Sabrina says she later quit the track team over Becky's participation in the league. Her views on trans athletes are not an outlier, as 69% of Americans say trans girls should only be allowed to play on boys' teams.
We are really starting to confuse, I think, in the athletic fields, the differences between gender and sex.
What is the solution for student athletes like Becky? Is it to just have them play in the boys' league? Is that fair and safe for them?
Yes.
That's where this should end up.
Yeah. I don't mean to be flippant, but that was a fairly simple question, and my answer is yes.
The U.S. Olympic Committee, the NCAA, and 29 states ban transgender girls and women from competing on teams consistent with their gender identity. 21 states do not, including California and New York, which have laws explicitly allowing trans athletes to compete.
Why not just play with the boys' team?
Because it would go against who I am. I've been a girl forever, and playing on the guys' team is going backwards.
And her mom insists Becky's hormone levels prove she's just like any other girl.
If they look at the medical records of individuals, like the Olympic Committee, testing people, they test for other performance-enhancing medications or drugs that their athletes take. So if we can look at those levels, let's look at her level.
Opponents say that's just not practical, and now they're looking to the U.S. Supreme Court to hold the line and reinstate West Virginia's ban as drawing a permissible sex-based distinction in sports.
What would it mean now if it was allowed to be enforced?
I would be devastated because track is something I enjoy so much. It's where I met a lot of my friends and I make most of my memories.
A lot of trans people are afraid of the spotlight right now for understandable reasons. Why aren't you?
Because I know someone has to do it. Someone has to do this for all of us.
We'll see what the court decides to do tomorrow. Our thanks to Devin on that. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.
Girls' sports is essential for safety and fairness.
Becky is bigger and stronger and faster than the females that she's competing against.
The American College of Sports Medicine says studies have shown testosterone produced during male puberty does lead to more muscle mass, larger hearts and lungs, greater body height, and longer limbs for boys and men. But before puberty, research shows sex differences in athletic performance are minimal. Becky says she's never undergone male puberty thanks to puberty-blocking medication and has no physiological advantage over her peers.
She has testosterone from her adrenal glands, just like every female out there. That's the only testosterone she has. She's actually not the biggest person on her team. There's people taller than her. There's people shorter than her. She's just an average female teenager.
Sports should be kept. Girls play against girls and guys play against guys. That's just
Sabrina Shriver competed against Becky and says she was made uncomfortable in the locker room and on the field. And in 2024 joined 4 other teammates in a silent protest during an 8th grade track meet. The group spoke out in defense of a ban.
This is not right in a situation that is eventually going to kill women's sports forever.
What made you uncomfortable?
I just didn't think it was right. So it was just, I don't know, we kind of all just felt uncomfortable and we didn't want any part of it.
Sabrina says she later quit the track team over Becky's participation in the league. Her views on trans athletes are not an outlier, as 69% of Americans say trans girls should only be allowed to play on boys' teams.
We are really starting to confuse, I think, in the athletic fields, the differences between gender and sex.
What is the solution for student athletes like Becky? Is it to just have them play in the boys' league? Is that fair and safe for them?
Yes.
That's where this should end up.
Yeah. I don't mean to be flippant, but that was a fairly simple question, and my answer is yes.
The U.S. Olympic Committee, the NCAA, and 29 states banned transgender girls and women from competing on teams consistent with their gender identity. 21 states do not, including California and New York, which have laws explicitly allowing trans athletes to compete.
Why not just play with the boys' team?
Because it would go against who I am. I've been a girl forever, and playing on the guys' team is going backwards.
And her mom insists Becky's hormone levels prove she's just like any other girl.
If they look at the medical records of individuals, like the Olympic Committee, testing people, they test for other performance-enhancing medications or drugs that their athletes take. So if we can look at those levels, let's look at her level.
Opponents say that's just not practical, and now they're looking to the U.S. Supreme Court to hold the line and reinstate West Virginia's ban as drawing a permissible sex-based distinction in sports.
What would it mean now if it was allowed to be enforced?
I would be devastated because track is something I enjoy so much. It's where I met a lot of my friends, and I make most of my memories.
A lot of trans people are afraid of the spotlight right now for understandable reasons. Why aren't you?
Because I know someone has to do it. Someone has to do this for all of us.
We'll see what the court decides to do tomorrow. Our thanks to Devin on that. That is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thank you so much for streaming with us. Have a great night.